So you see here, Diti was very apprehensive about what was going to happen. Because she knew that she had done a mistake. And her husband, Kashyapa Muni, had also told her that there will be consequences for these mistakes. And that's why we see here, she tried to withhold the children in the womb for a long time, 100 years, because she was afraid that as soon as they come out, they're going to exhibit their demoniac nature and cause disturbance to society. And as soon as the children were born, there was natural disturbances all over. You can imagine. They're just small children, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. But that itself is causing big natural disturbances. All were very fearful and wonderful in the heavenly planets, the earthly planets, and in between them. And the description is given. There was earthquakes, there was comets, and Saturn appeared, meteors and thunderbolts. So in this context, I'd like to share one pastime of Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada used to visit any place, especially here in the US, there in the US, there used to be a big reception party in the airports. Like unlike now, post 9/11, in the US, you can imagine 9/11, 2001, right? Before that, is like going to a bus station. You can go all the way till the gate, and people go there, right? Like you go to send off somebody in a bus. You will put them in the bus, and then you'll wave to them. They'll go, right? So like that, you can go all the way to the gate, and as they're going, you wave them. They're going the jet bridge, and then they'll go in the plane. So only there they would check. Okay, are you? What is your gate pass? Are you in this plane or not? So Prabhupada was being received. As soon as he got out of the gate, there was a big reception. All devotees were eagerly waiting there, and they were doing wonderful kirtan. And they had organized a press conference. A lot of reporters had come from many of the reputed papers. And after Prabhupada was received, then the press was said, okay, you can ask questions. So there was one eager reporter waiting to ask this question. He asked, those days Prabhupada, they used to call Swamiji also. Swamiji, what is the goal of life in your movement? Right? Anybody knows what answer Prabhupada gave? Yes. To enjoy life. Prabhupada said, the goal of our life in our movement is to enjoy life. And this is shocking. You don't hear this. Sadhu, they're all wearing saffron, this thing, that thing. And if the outside people say our goal is to enjoy life, then it's different. You're saying your goal in life is to enjoy life. It is actually true. Our goal in life is to enjoy life. I was telling Jagannath Prabhu a few minutes back. The prasadam in this temple is so wonderful. Usually that poha, when I eat that poha, my stomach gets upset. when they make. So I avoid poha. Almost always I avoid poha. Today poha was so wonderful. The chutney and this thing was so this thing. That makhan, is like nectar. you know. So we all have really wonderful prasadam. Such beautiful deities, the deities were dressed so beautifully. Just the colors, the combination, the flowers, the fragrance of these flowers. This is not something that everybody enjoys on a regular basis. See, we take all of this for granted. We are being shown how to enjoy life to the fullest. Pura paisa vasool. Right? Complete. Not even one paisa we living. Who doesn't want a life like this? See what happened in this case. Diti and Kasyapa were grihasthas. And when Diti asked her husband to fulfill a desire to have a child, is there anything wrong with that request? There's nothing wrong with that request. That's what a grihastha is supposed to do. Right? But what was wrong in that request? Can somebody say? The timing. The time was wrong. So that's why we give the example many times. Say you want to buy something in a mall, right? You go to the mall and you go select the different things you want, and then you try it out. You pick what you want. Then you look at the price. Then you go to the counter, give a credit card, or you give your cash, or I guess your Paytm or whatever, right? You pay nicely, and those people are saying, "Oh, here, please come. How can I help you?" They'll pack it nicely and say, "Thank you so much for coming. Please come again. You're a valued customer. We want you to come again." Right? Now contrast that. Same small, same item. You're going over there. Right? You're also picking the item. Then you're looking this way and that way. Then you put it into your pocket. And then you try to come out. Right? You may succeed also in coming out. It's part of, they call it spillage. The point is, what is the mood? What is the interaction that is happening? Here you are fearful. If somebody catches you, they won't say, "Oh, you're a wonderful customer, come back again." Right? They will take you into an interrogation room. Right? Or they'll hand you over to police. Maybe here they'll beat you up also. The same interaction, same thing, same item, same thing you're getting, but the difference is you're paying the price for the item that you are getting. That is the only difference. So that's why in the Devi Varnashrama system, right, all the Varnas and Ashramas are created in such a way that there is a legal, approved and proper way of living in every ashrama and every varna. Right? Srila Prabhupada in the late 70s, towards the 75, 76, 77, especially 77, many times Prabhupada used to say, "No, almost half of my work is still left undone." You heard this, right? And what was Prabhupada referring to at that time? Anybody knows? What is the undone work that Prabhupada said was not done? Devi Varnashrama. He wanted to establish the Devi Varnashrama system. So, for every ashrama, there are certain pleasures of that ashrama, and in order to enjoy the pleasure of that ashrama, there is a sacrifice, a tapasya one has to do. Right? Just like you go to a mall, you buy something, there is a price you have to pay for the item you're getting. Right? So, Diti and Kasyapa, they are in the Grihastha ashrama. Right? Now, what would one say are the pleasures of the Grihastha ashrama? So, Grihastha means the word Stri. What does the word Stri mean? Right? Expand. Right? And so there is expansion, there is children, there is family, there is a household, there's household paraphernalia. Right? I remember when we were all Brahmacharyas in the Bangalore temple. We were all about 30 of us in a, where the Kalyani is right now. Like, that is the temple hall, and right where the mantap is and all, that is the upstairs of that was the Brahmacharya ashram. About 25, 30 of us used to be in one line. And we all had cubicles for keeping our belongings. It used to be about like 2 feet wide by about 1.5 feet deep. So Prabhu was showing me your dormitories. I was saying, you got a huge cupboard, each one of you. We had one hole, 2 feet by 1.5 feet. Everything, all our belongings would be inside that. A lot of it would still be empty, there's nothing much to keep. But the same thing, Grihastha means you can't keep all your belongings in a 2 feet by 1 feet, right? So much more things happen. But those are the pleasures of the Grihastha ashrama. But there are sacrifices associated with the Grihastha ashrama. Right? So, what are the sacrifices of the Grihastha ashrama? Anybody can mention some of them? Yes. Grihasthas are the main wealth generators. They are supposed to take care of all the other 3 ashramas. Right? Brahmacharis, Vanaprasthas and Sannyasis are all taken care of by the Grihasthas. Right? So, in one sense, charity. Production of wealth and charity was the very important sacrifice they had to do. What other? Anything else they're supposed to sacrifice? Huh? Yes, wonderful answer. Self-control, sense control. It seems like an oxymoron. Like, Grihasthas? And they're supposed to have self-control? If you had self-control, you'll be a Brahmacharya. Isn't that the thing that comes to mind? But actually, that is what it is. The objects of the senses are so near you, all around you, but you're supposed to control your senses. That's why Madhupana Prabhu many times he says, see, if you're changing ashram, Prabhu, I'm very agitated, that's why I want to become a Grihastha. There's a completely wrong reason to become a Grihastha. He does not, just because you become a Grihastha, your agitation all is not going, only going to increase. So for that reason, if you're changing, becoming Grihastha is a completely wrong reason, and you're bound to fail in your mission. Whatever you're trying to do. So self-control, sense control. In fact, that is the area where Diti and Kasyapa both failed. See, Kasyapa knew that he was doing a mistake. He tried to stop Diti, but Diti was not in a mood to listen. Right? And so that's why we see there are so many consequences coming out of one small mistake. The entire universe now is going to suffer. the consequences of that mistake. Now, similarly, in the Brahmacharya ashrama, right? Now, what are the pleasures of Brahmacharya ashrama? Huh? Prasadam. Huh? Prasadam. What else? No responsibilities. Complete freedom. No responsibilities at all with anything whatsoever. No, Brahmachari is not supposed to sit and think, how is this thing, such a huge temple, how is it going to run? What is this going to happen? Like, somebody is taking care. I am told to do some service. I do that service nicely. I have freedom to read. I have freedom to study and understand and enjoy. Freedom to jump happily in the kirtan. No worries. Right? When Queen Kunti is praying to Lord Krishna when he's going back after the Mahabharata war, when Krishna is going back to Dwaraka, the very famous verse, all of you would have, we used to always sing that. Today mornings also, did we not sing Kunti prayers? Right? Pandushu Vrishnishu. Right? Saying, Chindi, please cut my ties of affection to the Pandushu Vrishnishu. See, as soon as a person gets married, all the relations he had becomes double. Right? You have one father, one mother, now you have one father-in-law and mother-in-law also. Maybe you had a brother, you had a sister, now you have, brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and so many, like everything becomes more. So much more responsibility, so much more things. The other day, our Brahmacharyas in our temple, we were planning, that they should have a little break in between to send somewhere. So suddenly, 3 days before, we decided, Hawaii is a nice place. Prabhupada used to stay there a lot. And there is a very nice temple and, this thing. They should go over there. Both of them should go, kind of. We discussed, we booked a flight in this thing, and 3 days later, they were in Hawaii. Grostas, can they do this? Big planning they have to do. Who is it? What is this one, that thing, this thing. So many things. This is the freedom. You can, do different things. You can, but that freedom, that enjoyment of that freedom, there are also sacrifices of a brahmachari. Right? So what are the sacrifices for a brahmachari? Sense control. That actually, it's more of sense control is the sacrifice of the grostas. It's easy to do sense control if you're a brahmachari. Anything else comes to mind? What does, yes? Obeying, surrender. No independence. Right, in the Shastras it is given. Like, if you're a guru in a Gurukula, if there is a student in a Gurukul, if the spiritual master or the spiritual master's, Guru Patni forgets to call you for prasadam, then you're supposed to fast. Right? So there is no, you are sacrificing your independence, right, for the pleasures of this. So you just follow instructions. Happily follow instructions without any response. See, but it's so nice. Because you don't have any responsibilities, it's easy to follow. Today, you say this, you do this. Tomorrow they say do that, you do that. Because you have the freedom and the thing. And not only the freedom, you will see so many devotees. They share their experiences. See, brahmacharis are able to do things that they are never trained in. They never went to some degree. They didn't make any education, this thing, that thing. But if somebody say, go do this, they will do it in such a wonderful way. Right? You see all wonderful things all around you. If you go say, okay, did you get this degree? Did you get this training? Did you work for this company? Did you learn this? Nothing. You're able to do wonderful things, right? So there is no personal decisions. You're giving up that independence. No, as that's the nature of this Brahmacharya ashram. And you will enjoy the pleasures of, you know, being 24/7 engaged without any too many attachments, too many complications in life. Because ultimately, everybody, whether you went through Grihastha ashram or you didn't go to Grihastha ashram, one has to, in the mind at least, enter the Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. Now, Vanaprastha ashrama was recommended for only some of the Varnas. Right? Anybody knows which Varnas are recommended to practice Vanaprastha? Kshatriyas, Brahmanas. In fact, even in the Vedic tradition, Vaishyas were not following the Vanaprastha ashrama. The Grihastha ashrama, everybody followed, right, including the Shudras. And then the last ashrama, Sannyasa, was mainly followed by the Brahmanas. Right? So, ultimately, we all have to give up everything in this world. Then we have to continue our journey. Hopefully, by the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, if you follow my instructions in this lifetime, you can go back to Godhead. Right? If you're so blessed, go back to Godhead. Or, let's say, Prabhupada has a plan for us to come back again to serve in his mission or to fulfill our, purification. So be it. Right? But when that transition happens, everything in this material world has to be given away. So that's why, the Vedic tradition was, whether you are a brahmachari or a grihastha, either of those cases, there was a very systematic transition period of Vanaprastha. Right? Now, one might ask a question, what is the concept of Vanaprastha for a brahmachari? Right? In one sense, in some places it is said that, because brahmachari means you are a sort of a student, right? So it is not that you are a student your entire life. Once studies are done, you start taking responsibilities in the world, in the society. So in one sense, it can be said that a brahmachari who continues to be in a brahmachari is skipping the grihastha ashram, and right in his young age is taking vanaprastha ashram. Right? So you finish your study this now. That one you are now. Let's say, what does the vanaprastha do? They minimize all the things in the world. They keep it very simple, easy, and then engage fully in the mission of the spiritual master. Right? Engage in spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. Engage in activities of helping others advance in their spiritual life. So, that vanaprastha transition for a grihastha, they have to minimize everything. They have to give up everything. Which in one sense is why you go through this additional stage of collecting everything and then giving up everything. Right? So that's why it is recommended, if it's possible, and Prabhupada created an opportunity for us to actually practice it. People directly from Brahmacharya, you straight go into Vanaprastha/Sannyas. So, Sannyas was actually voluntarily accepting death even when you are alive. Right? That's what sannyas means. For all practical purposes, you are dead to the society. Now you embrace Vasudeva Kutumbakam. You are embracing the entire universe as your family. You give up your family that you are born in, the village you are from, or town you are from, everybody, your friends, relatives, everything that you have, and do that. Right? That is a sannyas ashram. So we see here that in this particular situation, all the complications are coming because did not follow. There's another interesting thing that is mentioned over here in the fifth, sorry, uh, in the fourth verse. I'll read the purport one more time. Prabhupada very nicely saying here. When natural disturbances occur on a planet, one should understand that the demon must have taken birth there. In the present age, the number of demoniac people is increasing. Therefore, natural disturbances are also increasing. There is no doubt about this, as we can understand from the statements of the Bhagavatam. So one should understand that when we are given a mind-body system, right, this machine has been given to us. There's a gross body, there's a subtle body. Along when this machine is given based on the prarabdha karma, each of us is given different kinds of machines. And they're capable of different activities. Right? Now, along with each of this, how much of happiness and distress this machine has to experience is determined. That's the thing about a human body. Prahlad Maharaj, when in the seventh canto, when there's a description of his teaching his classmates, right? He says, ayatnataha, right? That verse, ayatnataha. Just like we get suffering without any effort, yatna means effort. Similarly, happiness will fall on you without any extra endeavor or effort. So human life means that we understand happiness and distress will come, based on the prarabdha karma that we have. And so one should embrace whatever comes. And, we should learn to live with what has been given to us in a proper way. Just like we talked about, there is pleasures and there is sacrifices. Take a simple thing like eating, right? How much pleasure you should get from eating is fixed. Not just for us, for everybody, even for animals, even for this thing, it is fixed. Now, a tamasic person will try to get that pleasure from very heinous ways of killing other animals, and many times you'll see there are many restaurants, especially in China and all that. I heard there is also in America also. So they will go to the restaurant, they will have all these different animals in either cages and in aquariums and all that. They'll pick, I want to eat this. I don't know what pleasure they get out of saying, okay, this particular thing, and the cook comes and picks it up, kills it, and what kind of... See, there is an exercise of your free will, and you're causing so much of harm and suffering to others. So there are consequences for those actions. But the pleasure they get out of the eating, whatever is just time. Same person, same pleasure, if they're doing it in a sattvic way, and then in Shuddha Sattva, in the spiritual way, make wonderful foodstuffs, offer to the deities, and eat the Mahaprasadam. The happiness that you get, and on top of it, it is purifying you, it's taking you back to Godhead. So, we should understand that when we experience disturbances in our lives in different ways, it's usually an opportunity for us to introspect, right? To introspect and say, oh, is there something I'm doing wrong? Is there something that that I'm not following? Usually it's not gross things. Gross things very easy to follow. 4 regulatory principles, we're in the temple, there's nothing much. Everything is very, very simple. but it's usually the subtle things. We're all living in a community. We're all interacting with each other, right? With other Vaishnavas, we interact. Now, when the interactions are going on, one should be cognizant of how do we interact. You know, how we are, especially when you are in a position of authority or in a position of you have power. It is naturally in this world that's how it is. By Kala and this thing, somebody is in power, somebody is not in power. Now, how you exercise that power when you have it determines, you know, how well you're fulfilling your duties in that particular situation. So one should always be, watchful of our interactions with other Vaishnavas. And um, when we notice that some things is not good, let's say for example, you know, we get some disease, then we ask a question, okay, is there something in our diet, in our exercise, in our this thing that we can change so that we can, because this world, God has given everything, this machine is there, there's a solution to the machine's problems also. So these are all opportunities for us to introspect and think, what can I change? How can I be a better person? Now, Madhupani Prabhu always gives his example. Spiritual life is all about, living one day at a time. Right? I remember very well, he used to give the example of like you're driving from Bangalore to Chennai, right? And it's a night. So when you're driving, you get in the car because it is night time, your headlights will throw some light, maybe 100 feet, 200 feet. That's all you can see, right? 200 feet, 300 feet, that's all you can see. So all you got to do is look at that, how much ever is visible to you, look nearly and make sure that you're avoiding anything over there. Drive nicely. You keep looking like that, and you drive, follow the direction, then you are there in Chennai. So you don't have to have the entire thing lit up from here to there, and you should know exactly what is going on. It's not needed. Similarly, in our lives, one day at a time. If today, how did I do my sadhana? How good was my reading? What was the mood or consciousness with which I did my service today? At the end of the day, when you're about to sleep, you can ask yourself the question, am I a better person today than I was yesterday? Right? If the answer is yes, a little bit better, very good answer. If the answer is not so much, it's the same, it's an okay answer. Right? But if the answer is no, no, you are actually a little worse than yesterday, then there is a cause for introspection. Something you're not doing right. So just live one day at a time. That is the luxury of the Brahmacharyas. You don't have to make any plans. You don't have to make any, big arrangements and all that. You just live happily one day at a time, and you can all take shelter of Srila Prabhupada and go back home, back to God. So we see here that the importance of following the pleasures and sacrifices associated with each ashrama, and how to use some omens or some signs that we see of natural disturbance and things like that to understand that we may not be doing something right. Okay, we'll stop here. Anybody has any questions or comments? Yes.
Great. You said that Brahmacharyas were not taken Vyasta ashram. They just went to Vyasta ashram when the Vajrayana till the Vajrayana came. So
Very nice way to say that. Yeah. If you are anxious about your future, what is going to happen to me, this and that, means you're not enjoying the pleasures of Brahmacharya itself. You being a Brahmachari, you're taking all the sacrifice of the Brahmachari, and now you're taking all the worries of Grosthas. What a misfortune is that. Right? You are supposed to be like, there is no anxiety for a Brahmachari. You ask any devotees, who are little elderly, who lived this thing. Like I'm now 49 years old. I was talking to Sri Ram Prabhu a few days back. I think he said he's in his 60s. You ask them, and this thing, they will say, my God, I'm every moment of my life, Krishna has saved me. Krishna has been so merciful to me. Even if I had sat down and planned, my life should be like this, I couldn't have done that. Krishna takes care of you much more than how you can do whatever planning you do. That is the reality. It might look like, you've gone through some ups and downs, this happened, that happened. But you'll see, even in the so-called ups and downs in life, the way Srila Prabhupada guides a disciple, where the Paramatma guides you in the heart, where the Vaishnavas guide you from externally, and you'll see your life, you'll sit and peacefully say, oh, I lived a wonderful life. I couldn't have asked for anything more in life. So that should be the mood of a brahmachari. There's nothing to worry about. If you are worrying, if you are thinking, then definitely, you are you're not living one day at a time. You're unnecessarily taking anxiety, which is a punishment for other ashramas. You're unnecessarily taking that punishment without enjoying the pleasures of that ashrama also, which is a very unfortunate situation. Just like Prahlad Maharaj says, ayatnataha. Anybody here has had a fracture or something? Anybody has had any fractures? Both of them are. That day when you had the fracture, did you get up in the morning and say, today I'm going to fracture my hand. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to hit like this and I'm going to break my bones. Did you do any planning like that? It happened. Just like pain falls on you without any ayatnataha, no endeavor, no planning, nothing, right? Happiness will fall on you on your head. I remember I had just finished my undergrad degree. Exam I had finished, and then Chanchilapati Prabhu used to be preaching to me. So I had taken an appointment 3 days after my exam to meet Prabhu. And he said, I met Prabhu and said, Prabhu, I've come to take your blessings. Because that time I was preparing for my IAS exams. So I said, no, I've just finished my undergrad. I'm now going to go and do intense preparation. I've come to take your blessings that, that I'll use this, whatever comes in the Lord and Prabhupada's mission. And Prabhu looked at me very compassionately and then he said, okay, what do you want to do IAS for? I said, Prabhu, I'll become, this, and then I will use all of that for Prabhupada's mission only, not for myself. He said, see, whatever is due to you, whether you're in the temple, you're a brahmachari, or this thing, it will fall on your head. And you can use it for the Lord's service. You don't have to go, become an IAS officer to get the position or this thing to use it in the Lord's. You be in the temple, whatever has to happen to you in your life, it will fall on your head. And that was like a little shocking for me. Yeah, but I had faith in Prabhu's words. And then Next day I came and shaved up and joined the temple. But I can tell you one thing. What Prabhu said is 100% accurate. Whatever is to fall on your head will fall on your head. When I went to America, I didn't had never worked for anybody in my entire life. All I know is I was a brahmachari in the temple. I finished my undergrad. Next third day I joined the temple. 9 years I was in the temple. I go to a foreign country there, just figure out I collected with from all these things and I figure out nothing I can do with this money. It won't last me even 1 month. And I'm okay. Then I said I need to, like in Prabhupada days also, if you hear about Jayananda Prabhu, you hear about the one Jayananda Prabhu, he used to make all the Rath Yatra cards. So when they started the San Francisco temple, Jayananda Prabhu used to be, he actually is from a very good university. He's come from Ohio State University, which is a second tier university, but it's premier, like NITs here and all that, like that kind of a very big institute. And he had a very good degree. But in those days they'd given up everything, right? So he used to drive a taxi. So he was temple president. Whole day he would drive taxi, and then evening he would come, and from his mainly from his earning they would run the part of the temple. So because the cost of living is so high over there, you have to do different things. Proper time also different. What is this? So within I went over there within 15 days. So I said, okay, I need to go put some resume, to write. What resume will I write? I'm a brahmachari for 9. I said, okay, I've learned this, I've learned because to take care of construction under Madhupada Prabhu, this thing, that thing, some software I had learned and this thing. I was taking care of technology at that time. So I had done some technology stuff in the temple as a brahmachari. And so I wrote all of that things and, just put something. Within 1 week, I got a call from somebody. And they said, oh, we have this. So you said Primavera. Primavera is a project management software. We used to use that in Hare Krishna Hill for construction. Because when I took over, they were all doing everything in paper and this thing. So we digitized all the plans in the 1990s. You can imagine 96. Suvyakta Prabhu and Subhanga Prabhu. They would go every corner of the building and they would measure and put it in AutoCAD. And we all learned AutoCAD. And we digitized the entire plans of this thing. And we used to use Primavera for project management. That's all. The person saw Primavera. We have a position for global administrator of Primavera for GE Power Systems, which was a $6 billion company at that time. Can you do this? See, I knew how to use Primavera in a small. This is administration of a $6 billion company's entire this thing. Yes, I can do. I have no idea what that is. I only know the client version. I don't know the software version of it at all. I've never. So next day, I said yes. Then Monday, is the interview. So that was a Friday. So sir, the Friday morning, I called the local Primavera office and said, hey, I've come from India. We're doing this theme park and we need a big installation of Primavera. You explain to me how this software works. So they said, yes, please come. And they received me nicely and then took me a tour of their place and everything. And then they explained, okay, this will work like this. And I kept asking questions, they were wondering, why am I taking so much detailed notes and everything. And then took that notes. And then Monday interview came. He gives question, I have an answer. Why I have written notes? What? I said, yes, you're selected. Come and take care. And I go over there. The GE Power Systems is the world headquarters. Like in NASA, you see, huge screen. The screen is like 20 feet tall. Command center is there in the middle of this thing. It's about like 40-50 feet wide. 20 feet tall, huge screen. Every single power generator in the entire world, like GE supplies power systems to, I would say, 70% of the world's power generated by GE's engines, turbines and all that. So all of them, you'll see every country there'll be blip is going on. This is producing this much power, that is producing this much power, and then this is a command center. They're controlling the entire thing, and they're giving me administrative password for their entire project management system. First week, I was afraid to touch any button. You do some mistake, some hundreds of millions of dollars projects will come into a halt. I remember that first boss I had. He was telling me 1 year later. He was telling me, "No, first week I almost fired you because you didn't know what to do." I didn't tell him that I really didn't know what to do. It's just Paramatma's blessings, that, see, that's why I said, when you're a Brahmachari, you've served, anything you want, it's like, Krishna will open the switch and that knowledge will come to you. Nothing, I didn't know anything at all. In 1 year's time, I was one of the few administrators who were authorized to teach other administrators on how to do these systems. And it's just the mercy of Krishna. Whatever is to fall on your head will fall on your head. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it will fall on your head. Now the question is what you do with it. Will you use it for Krishna's service or will you use it for your sense gratification? If you use it for sense gratification, up to you do use it properly, systematically, then there are, okay, you use it for sense gratification, there are consequences for that. You use it in a sattvic way, fine. You get bound to this world. You use it in a tamasic way, and not only you're bound to this world, there is punishment awaiting you for using what has fallen on your head. You use it for the Lord's service. You use it for Prabhupada's mission. Then your life is fulfilled and you are creating a bright future for so many others. Okay. So I don't think any Brahmachari should be sitting and doing any plans. And nobody should be doing any plans. Radha Madhav has a plan for each and every one of us. Prabhupada has a clear plan. This will happen this day, that will happen this day. Prabhu was telling me, when this land thing, when they came over here, there was there was Raya Rama. Was there? You see, in Raya Rama, I had some doubts whether this place is good or not. This is so far away, Prabhu. Such a big builder he is. We landowner. Let's ask him some other place. It'll be nice if he asks some other place. No, Prabhu said, no. He himself has called us. He himself is giving this to us. Let's just say yes. And you see how that yes, in 2008, Prabhu, 10, 11. That yes, that now look at what is manifested over here. Like that, everything in life, Krishna will take care. And we should all remember that everything we have to leave and go one day. See, temple also we have to leave and go. So what we will take with us is what Bhava Graha Janardana. He only sees what attitude we have done in everything that happened in our lives. How did we deal with each other, Vaishnavas? How did we live our lives? That's the only thing that will come with us. Okay. Any other questions? I think it's already late. Yes. That was it.
You said, when LPP said we are ready to jump, then we think what we have to do. How do you develop that kind of thing?
See, if you have lived with Madhupadu Prabhu as much as we all have lived, you will also jump without thinking anything. I had the greatest fortune of being his assistant in the construction. So from morning, like 9:30 after the program is over, till night 10, 11. Those days, Prabhu used to be in the office till about 10:30. Nowadays he doesn't do, but those 10 because a lot of work was going on. Till 10:30 we used to be in the office doing this thing. I've seen him so close for so many years. See, that's why they say, when they say Bhagavad, there's a person Bhagavata, right? There's a book Bhagavata, there's a person Bhagavata. So senior devotees, they live their life, every moment of their life, every interaction, every this thing. They live at such a level of finesse and caring, and following the different regulations of this world, a very systematic way. You see that and you'll get inspired, saying, "Oh my God, what wonderful people! What fortune we have to be in their midst." So like that, I said, when the temple was small, we had so much more opportunity for personal association. Um, but it's just that, just that's why I said, right? Devotees means by being with you, others should feel inspired to live a devotional life, and we have seen them live their lives like that, and that's why we have that conviction, right? That somebody is saying something, it's like, oh, they would have thought through this, and they would have, this jumping is what is going to help you eternally, not just now. It'll help you now also, but it'll help you eternally. And that's why you first jump and then you ask why. You had a question?
Generally, the spiritual life, it's all about focus actually, people attention. Like we have heard the verses like
Yeah,
single pointed intense focus.
yeah,
All the scriptures which are they say. But many times by the tricks of Maya, our attention or focus is diverted, distracted.
yeah,
We are not saying that some ungenuine things, genuine things also, like in these four walls also many things are happening.
yeah,
And I may end up focusing upon something, it may be genuine, but I cannot do anything about it. I may feel somewhat dissatisfied about it also. Maybe
yeah,
any policy, it may be any decision, it may be whatever XYZ thing. And we go through a path of disturbance sometime. We get realization also we cannot do anything about it. So the thing is, instead of going through a rough phase of disturbance, how to avoid and have that same intense single-pointed focus upon, as you said, Brahmacharya means do whatever you
yeah,
do.
yeah. See, Prahlad Maharaj practically demonstrated that. Right? When Prahlad Maharaj was put through all those trials and tribulations, right? They put him in a pit of poisonous snakes, tried to trample him with an elephant, fed him poison, put him in a fire. All of these stages, Prahlad Maharaj was not saying, "Let me defend myself. Snake is there. Oh, let me go away from the snake." Or, let me just fight them off. Because Prahlad Maharaj knows that many, many times more than what we can take care of ourselves, Krishna can take care of us. Prabhupada can take care of us. That is why it is said that when it comes to ourselves, that is the principle we should apply with how anything happens to us. Now, anything that happens to us, Trunam apina chalati, not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. If somebody is troubling you, some decision is impacting you, you're feeling disturbed or something, if you were not in the temple, and your this thing, you would have experienced the same thing from somebody for some material things. We should have that faith. Only what is due to us will come to us. Nothing, not even one little extra will come just because we are in the temple. Yes, tolerate. What is tolerate? And also remember, when it comes to us, we should not even try to defend, we should not try to fight, we should not tolerate. Just tolerate. Trunadapi suni chaina tarorapi saishnu. You have to just tolerate like a tree. Tree doesn't protest. Oh, today, what is this? So hot, so windy, so this thing. Just tolerate. But when it comes to others, when you see others being troubled, other Vaishnava in this thing, it's our duty at least to go tell our authorities, oh Prabhu, I saw this. This person did this to this, or this was happening to this. Like for same policy, the policy is impacting somebody else. You can go and say, Prabhu, I saw that, the devotee won't say, but I thought I'll bring it to your attention. Then live it. In this world is so complicated. Material world is so many things are there. If you try to solve everything, solve every problem, actually, when you are in all of you will one day, even now itself, you'll have, everybody has some authority. And one day you'll have more authority position you will be in. Right? One of the best ways to solve most problems, just keep quiet. Many times, not doing anything is the best solution for most problems. Right? Because there are so many problems. Just keep quiet. Usually that's why when somebody brings something, I always tell them something happens. Minimum 24 hours you wait before even thinking about it. Minimum 24 hours. When somebody says something, you get disturbed. Don't ever write something. Don't ever write something. First thing is wait 24 hours. Most 80% of the problems will disappear by next day morning. You go sleep, miracle. Problem is gone. So give 24 hours. After you give 24 hours, if it is still troubling you, just go tell authority. Prabhu, this happened. And your responsibility is over. Whether they do it or not, many times Madhukara Prabhu keeps telling us when we have these TP body meetings and all that, you're all people of of responsibility. If you do something wrong, the punishment for you is 10 times more than the punishment for others. So your responsibility is over. It is their problem now. They have to deal with it. Right? And you live simple life. As you're getting older, you will realize, hey Baba, what are all these things we're thinking? Why none of these things matter? Yes, just all these, what looks so big is all, it'll all just go. And as I said, the worst thing you can do is you get emotional. See how you know you're emotional? Can somebody tell me what are the markers of when you're emotional? What happens? Huh? Heavy at heart. You'll feel a little heat also here, right? Right? Don't you feel that? A little bit, head is hot. You're trembling. Right? Your agitation is there. Whenever you sense any of these emotions, just go chant, read, at least sleep. Don't do anything. I sometimes say, don't even talk to anybody also. Just go, sit in front of Radha Madhav and chant, or hear some nice kirtan, listen to some nice lecture. Don't do anything. Because nothing good comes out of anything you do when you are emotional. You will only repent it. And you will repent it very badly. Worst thing you can do, agitated mood, write an email or text message or something and send it off. Okay, everything, man, that I'll put. You can't take it back. Once it is gone, permanent record. See, if every thought that goes in your mind, if you put it in writing, Hare Krishna, so many crazy thoughts will come in your mind. I'm telling you, even when you're 70 years old, you're doing Krishna consciousness for 50, 60 years, crazy thoughts will come in your minds. Only one solution to that. What should you do? Huh? What is that? Chant. Ignore, sleep over it, forget it. Don't it'll just go away. Look, all the dirt that is going on, it'll go away. Just tolerate. Yes. And then you'll see you live a very happy, peaceful life. Okay, we'll stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Bol Premanand.